Welcome to this video tutorial about how to create a stylus system. So right now I have Zeiss Stylus System Creator already open. So I'm going to make a new stylus system. I'll hit New here and the dialog box pops up. I'll select None from right here and say Start. Alright, so we don't see anything happen on the screen here, but if you just created another stylus system previous, you do need to answer that prompt and say None. Alright, so the next thing I need is a sensor. So I'll come down here under Zeiss Components and I'll expand Sensors. And the only one that we have at STCC is the VAST XXT TL318P. So I'll double click on that and notice that it populates this list up here. Now this is the number one thing that confused me when I tried doing this for the first time. Notice that it's light gray up here. The VAST XXT TL3 is highlighted. I want to emphasize this. You do have to click on the VAST XXT, or I'm sorry, you have to click on the XXT TL3-Z to be able to do the next step. So I'm going to show you how to do this incorrectly first to show you how it doesn't work. Next, we'll come over here to the adapter plate and we'll grab the XXT TL3, XXT TL3 adapter plate, and I'll double click on it. And notice that nothing happens. So again, this really confused me. It's a simple fix, but it's not obvious. You have to click on this first right here, and we get a preview on the graphics screen over there. And then we want to double click on this and it populates. Much better. And the stylus that we're going to build today is one of the styli that we actually have in our lab, and it's a 1.5mm by 31mm measuring length. So we'll expand styli and then sphere, and then these sort them by different ranges of size. So we're looking for a 1.5mm diameter ball. So we're going to hit the plus sign here, and the one that we want is M3XXT DK 1.5ml 31 stylus ruby. Now again, this is not highlighted in the correct spot, so if I double click on this, nothing happens. You always have to click on the lowest item in the list to get this to work. So we'll click on that, and then we'll double click on this, and we see the preview in the graphics screen here. You can also manipulate your view if you want to look from -Y would be the front view. You can use the same dynamic controls that you can use in Calypso. Just fair warning, there is a bit of a delay, especially when you rotate. So, for me, I usually rotate it way off the screen and I lose where I'm at. Well, if that's the case, come down here and do a fit zoom and you're back where you left off, or you can look from a different view here. So yeah, isometric or front tend to work pretty well there. All right, now with all our hard work done, we are just going to come up here to Save Stylus System. And the name of this is going to be 1.5 by 31mm stylus. And the spelling does matter, and I believe it's case sensitive as well. Don't quote me on the case sensitive part, but I know the spelling matters. So we'll hit Save As, and notice that I already have this saved here under Public. Well, let me get through the full string here. It's C Users Public Documents Zeiss Stylus System. So if that directory doesn't exist, you can go back to the Zeiss directory, that's up one level, and just create a folder that says Stylus Systems. And you do want this name to match exactly because this is exactly what it is named on STCC's computers. And then you'll just hit Save and Cancel. Well, you'll hit Save and the dialog will go away. So we'll close out of that. I'm not going to save this one. In this case, I already have it. And now we'll come over and launch Calypso. So we created the stylus system, but that doesn't actually mean that we can use it in Calypso yet because it hasn't been imported. So our next move is we're going to open up just any generic measurement plan, and we're going to import that file from the SSC file. All right, so we'll come over here to create new measurement plan. And we'll go Planner, Import SSC file. This is always going to have the green check here after you import the initial master probe. So if you don't have a green check there, You need to go back and import your master probe to begin with. There's a different video on that. This will always have some path in it after you load one stylus system, so you're just going to hit load stylus system, click on the one that you just created, and this should default to that same location that we just saved the probe to before. That's why we wanted to save it there. If it doesn't default to that location, I'll give you the location again for convenience. It's C users public documents Zeiss stylus systems. That just keeps it organized. Right, click on that, click open. Then you have to hit accept loaded system. That should default to 1.5 by 31 millimeter stylus. All of this up here should be blank. And if it doesn't populate with 1_-Z, and again, that is, the spelling does matter there. I believe it's case sensitive, but don't quote me. And if this doesn't say stylus number 1, you want to set that information. That should come in by default. This really is only an issue when you're doing star probes that you have to make sure that that's correct. So we say OK there. And this is giving me an additional prompt. Do I want to overwrite or update? I'll just say overwrite and say OK. It says I can't do that because I actually have that particular stylus active, right? But for you, you'll say yes, and then you'll see a little preview of it on the screen. One other thing you might want to do is go Planner and Measurement Plan Simulation, and then pull this over here. And we do see that we have that same probe that we just created there. That is the 1.5 by 31 millimeter. If you wanted to see where this is on the machine, I have my base plate shown here. You could also show the entire machine just for scale reference. And then we could come over here and show the CMM operation dialog box, which looks like a little joystick there. We could go into our base alignment and we can pull these around and we can see, roughly how big this is compared to the scale of the machine. You could also import the part and see how big this is relative to the features on the part. So the real reason for creating this probe here is in this week's video tutorial, we have to measure some features that are so small our regular 3 by 50 millimeter probe simply won't fit in there. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you at the next video.